everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tube. Welcome back if this is your 13th Walker Season 3 episode review. So, we are delayed. That was planned. What I failed to check was the audio from the original Thursday night recording post the episode's release. I really don't know what happened. I literally was checking, I was editing, and I noticed there was no waveform, there was no audio coming out of it. So I'm either a cable got loose or the audio settings were wrong. So basically, we lost the entire audio, and I literally was recording that. I was editing that on Friday night or Saturday evening. I forgot when I was going to edit it. I think it was Saturday evening, but anywho, I was unable to do anything, and yeah, so that basically destroyed the entire flow of everything. So I do apologize that this review is coming out very later than usual. Obviously, Walker is going to be on break for a few weeks now, so we're not in a rush to do anything, to be honest with you, but still, I felt bad, so I apologize. But this episode of Walker was a pretty big one. I think, honestly, it was one of the best in the series, one of the best in the seasons for sure. It definitely did take me for a loop, and honestly, now having, now I gotta rethink of it, but when I originally watched it, I was like, actually thinking, which honestly, when a show makes me think or makes me ponder what could happen, it definitely is a good sign, like, okay, the show's actually intriguing me, it's actually like pulling me in. Not to say Walker never does that, period, but I kind of go with the motions, and I kind of like, I've watched too much television to know, like, when certain things might happen, so yeah, that's basically what I gotta say on it, but let's go for the butcher recap and talk about this episode of Walker. So we begin with, there's the one problem when I'm reviewing things like very much after the fact, is that I completely forget a good chunk of it, which it does suck, but I do remember a good amount of it, where we're picking up in the last episode. Trey and his new partner in Gray Flag are training this in this elevator bomb simulation, and their attempt, well, at least their first attempt on this scene, fails because this is the same woman that Trey was partnered up with in his last mission, i.e. his first mission, and the one who got shot in the stomach. So she's still recovering from that. It's still pretty wound, but of course Gray Flag does not care about it. You got to power through. Pain is for your gain, as what they say. But despite this, there's still high candidates for the elite squad for this pretty big mission that Gray Flag is about to perform. And, despite their failures in the simulation, they're still in very much of high consideration. Meanwhile, Trey is a little bit later. Trey is doing some surveillance, watching the Gray Flag compound, looking for the weaknesses that the Rangers or himself could use to get out of this or get into this place. But he's interrupted by his partner, who's still very much in suspicion of Trey because he had combat gauze on hand handily when she was injured, and she still does not believe that. Yeah, even though you're a medic, it's still kind of unbelievable that you had combat gauze when I needed it in that moment. But either way, Trey manages to talk himself out of the situation. They do another simulation at the elevator, but this time Trey does not have the correct charge amount in his blast because he was more concerned about keeping her safe. And by the time she is told this information, she tells him that you are not like the others. Like, other members of Gray Flag would have instantly not give a shit about me, and if they were on that mission instead of you, I would be dead right now. So I know for a fact you are not part of this. You're not really part of Gray Flag, or at least you don't align with what a Gray Flag member should have. So that's questionable for just your reasoning for being here. And he says, I can't get into specifics, but all I can tell you is that I need to be in an elite squad no matter what. So we need to get our shit together. Otherwise, this isn't going to end well for either of us. She gets to a little bit of her reasoning on why she's also here. She was obviously a veteran, because that's the majority of these Gray Flag members right now. They are veterans, and that she was under forcefulness to be a part of this. Basically, if she backs out now, her family could be killed. And the second thing is that she's mainly there for token representation. That once the big mission happens, and then Gray Flag is more, makes their presence known, and for recruitment efforts, they want to use her as like the woman token, the color token, the basically everything. She's a token for almost everything that she is, and she's a little bit uncomfortable with that. But of course, obviously, she's just keeping her family safe. But before tracking it a little bit more in detail, giving her like an escape route just in case that something goes awry. Another Great Flag member shows up and says that the big boss is coming by today to announce who is going to be on the elite squad, and second of all is that they're still given another chance at the elevator simulation, despite their messiness. However, they don't even get a chance to do that as alarms are rang, and apparently she's a deserter. She is deserting. She took down a guard, and now everyone's on high alert. They have to shoot her on set and prevent her from leaving the compound because of, security reasons. But since Trey already told her what exactly, she can exit by to make a great getaway, she goes after her. But however, she drops his notebook in the process, revealing almost all of Great Flag's, secrets and weaknesses. He does manage to find her climbing the tree. He gives her a little bit more of an assistant with a boost to get her fully out of it. But a soldier does pop by and she shoots him on sight. Having no choice, Trey decides to stay behind, pretends to save him, but even though he's already too far gone, in order to keep his alibi that he did not know what happened, and it does able to work, and manages to buy a little bit more trust with his fellow peers about what had occurred. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Cordell is still wrapping around his head that Coop, his former commander, is still alive and kicking even after a little bit around 2 decades since his supposed death. James is still a little bit precarious about this, considering the fact that since Cordell had a bit of a lot of trust into him at the time, and then that's still kind of unresolved feelings there. He's a bit concerned that Cordell might not be able to put him down should things come to that point. He says, "Don't worry, I understand what it is. I will take him down." Although James does believe him, he doesn't entirely, so he decides to let Cassidy be partnered with him. So in case the situation does arise that they do have to cross paths, that Coop will be taken down no matter what. Cordell, not really agreeing with this, decides to dish Cassie by asking her to go to the barn house, aka his house, to procure something for him, while Cordell decides to use his opportunity to escape and go find Coop himself. Meanwhile, back at the Walker Ranch, it's a full construction day for the Walker Rescue Ranch, and that's about it for them. They're finally building the stables. They're getting everything in order with their funding, so they're actually finally able to actually make ground on this rescue base. Kevin, the mayor's assistant, and the very much the creepy dude in the room, shows up to help the walkers out with building their ranch, because, well, mainly the reason is that one of the investors he managed to get them in touch with is expecting the ranch to be open much quicker than their estimated opening date, which does not give Grandma Walker any confidence in him, since you're only doing this because of the financial aspect of it. You don't really care about the horses, anything. What even does kind of is unsettling for us as the viewer is that when he's talking to Liam about just everything related to Great Flag, and also just with the reporter that Walker has been assisting with, as well as sleeping with, he says if it was any other time period, she should be dead. Which kind of is a weird thing to say, really, to be honest with you, which also kind of shrugs Liam the wrong way. But Kevin gets himself cupped, so the conversation ends and he heads over to the barn house to get some medical supplies. He runs into Cassie, which is, I think, their first conversation since they're split. And it's awkward as all hell, as always, there really is never going to be a smooth transition to anything. And Cassie's like, you know what? You are Trey's friend. You're now part of this Walker rescue. We're going to see each other around more often than not. Then we could at least try to make peace and try to just be, nice and just, be friendly. And he's like, don't worry about it. This will not be an issue. Don't worry. Walker manages to find Coop and tries to corral him in his car, but however, Coop, being the master strategist that he is, manages to take down Walker pretty easily. However, having a heart, decides to pull Walker out of his burning truck. But however, he takes all of his belongings as well and drops him in a nearby ditch. Walker manages to escape and presumably is about to leave, but he decides to go trail Coop. And knowing that Coop is a master of covering his tracks, has to really think about where he would go. He does eventually find Coop's residence in the middle of the woods. Obviously, very booby-trapped all around the perimeter. Eventually, he does head inside, finds all of his belongings literally in a perfect, here you go. Here's all you need to get back out there. However, Walker does hear something in a nearby room, indicating that Coop is still alive and kicking, and is also present on site. So he decides to fake himself leaving, which allows Coop to like let his guard down for a brief bit, leading to a brief struggle between them. And Walker manages to get the upper hand by shackling him to a nearby sink, where they're able to have a proper conversation. Honestly, this scene was so good. This is a really well-performed scene, one of the best scenes in the show, because for me personally, I had a very difficult time understanding, because like Coop was, painted as, I am not the leader of Grey Flag. I'm not. I would never do that to your family, to your unit. I wouldn't do any of that. Like, you really need to see it in your heart. But there was somewhere where like some shades, some pause, where like it's believable that he isn't the person that we think he is. But at the same time, it could just be a facade. It could just be, something else. But he does suggest he is in town for a major reason. He's not just here for his mom's funeral, who passed away last week. It is for another reason. So that is not everything that Cordell knows, and that he has to trust him and let him go. And Cordell, shout out to Jared Padalecki for sharing this torn scene with Walker, where he doesn't know what to do. Like, in his gut, he knows that Coop is still Coop, but at the same time, in his mind, like, there's so much evidence that Coop has done so many things as the leader of Grey Flag that he has to take him down now. He has to take him in right now. Coop lets him have his gun back, bringing his guard down, which allows him to knock out Cordell again. He's able to get himself out of the shackles. Walker to the sink is about to leave with some supplies, able to go about his mission. Cordell, however, was faking the knockout, trying to get him at a gunpoint, but Coop knows he's not going to shoot him. That, like, yeah, you would have shot me already, so I know you're not going to shoot me now. So I hope we can meet again on better terms. But until then, farewell. And as he leaves Walker shackled to a metal sink with no way to get out. Meanwhile, the Walker Ranch proceeds as scheduled. Everything's fully built out. Well, at least a good amount of it. They put up the logo and everything, so it's pretty good. So they're about to wrap up for dinner, but Kevin has to go on mayoral business. So he bids them farewell as he finally was able to earn the trust of Grandma Walker as he departs. So meanwhile, the Trey's partner, who fled the camp, goes into the safe house of the Rangers, meets up with James and Cassie, tells them the code word that Trey trusted her with to try to prove to the others. They're like, no, I'm a good person. Don't worry about it. Like, I'm not bad. Like, I'm not a Grey Flag secret agent. Like, I know what's going on here. And she tells them, like, yes, the big boss is coming today. There's a big mission going on. They're selecting an elite squad, and Trey might be a part of it. So she's giving them all the lowdown right now, which is enough. Like, if we go right now, we could probably take the dude. Since we know his location. So they head over there. It turns nighttime. Everyone's lined up, including Trey, to meet the big boss. And honestly, going back to that conversation before, for me, like, I was thinking, like, it had to be a pretty resentful reason of, like, okay, if it's not Coop who's the leader of Grey Flag, like, it has to be someone we know already. Like, that's the only way they're going to sell this, like, big moment type of thing. And, yeah, it was Kevin. So Kevin was the leader of Grey Flag the whole time. And obviously Trey is completely shocked. I'm completely shocked because, like, Kevin as a person never really shook me the wrong way, really. I just thought he was just, like, a socially, straightforward guy, like a very neutral, monotone person. That's what I thought. And then, like, seeing them, now seeing everyone's reaction to the scene where, like, they've had the leader of Grey Flag literally in their offices, in their homes all this time, and they just never knew. And obviously Trey having to, pretend to still be a Grey Flag, affiliate, has to, like, pretend to, like, I'm on board with this. Like, I'm ready to go. But as a viewer, I'm just, filled with more questions. Like, what's his motivation? Why Walker? Why his unit? Why frame Coop? Like, there's so many questions, which is great. For a show to have to get us to ask, because, like, it just, like, I'm still thinking, like, what is all there has to be a connection somewhere, and that's what I want to figure out as well. And how far is this willing to go? Because again, Kevin has just become a very dangerous person, because not only has he access to a political field, he also has access to a militia. He's also, at the time right now, good with the Walkers, so it's going to be a very difficult situation, to say the least. Especially he's bonded with August, so I'm like, that's gonna make things a little precarious as we enter like the final stretch of episodes, regardless of how many episodes we have left. Like, it's very alarming to say the least how much the dominoes are stacking in his field. What would happen next? I really don't know, but we just have to wait till the next episode. But until then, that was it for this week's episode of Walker. So, repeating from the top, yeah, I think this is the best episode in the season so far. Maybe one of the best episodes in the series so far. Just the tension, the characters, direction, just being, for once, I was unsure where things were going to go, really, between Trey as well as, with Cordell, who is still, they're both in still very precarious situations. Like, anything can happen with them at this point. Continuously, the Walker Ranch storyline does continue to be kind of like the weakest link for me personally this season. It's not really making me like think too much about it yet. It's not really giving me the resonance I need yet. But now with Kevin's inclusion, which connects down to the larger picture, now it all kind of makes sense and kind of elevates the thread of what Kevin could bring with Grey Flag when we do discover his true motivations and everything. And it will be pretty questionable to say the least once we get more closer to the finale and how these all these puzzle pieces fit together with everything else. But again, shout out to Jared Padalecki for delivering such a great scene with Coop at the end. And just, yeah, I'm just very eagerly waiting to when Walker does come back in a few weeks, what we will pick up from that point and how will we progress through with the show going forward, especially with this season, with this revelation. But yeah, I'm going to give this episode 2 thumbs up. Enjoyed it so much. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this week's episode of Walker. Let's have a conversation down below. And I believe that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the Two from ActionX, reviewing every episode of the 3rd season of Walker. If you want to know what we're doing normally, What's the Two beside our Walker episode reviews. Currently, now we are doing Perry Mason Season 2 episode reviews, which start up tomorrow or tonight, depending on when this comes out. We're back. It's been 2 years. It came out in 2020, which, like, it feels like forever ago, man. Like, 2020 was, like, in the beginning of the pandemic. That's when that show came out. But we're back. Tomorrow, Season 2 premieres on HBO Max or in HBO. So I'm very excited to get back into that world. Perry Mason, get ready to get back into, like, that old-timey mystery-esque show that, I fell in love with back in 2020, so I can't wait for that. We're also doing a quick impressions on The Good Doctor this week, so stay tuned for that. And we also have a Walker Independent Season 2 predictions video that's coming out at the usual time slot on Thursday, so stay tuned for all of that. But again, this has been What's the Two from ActionX. Please subscribe to us on youtube.com/ActionX videos. Ring the bell for notification when our next episode reviews live. Like, favorite, share if you want to, and as well as ring the bell and follow social media. But until we see each other again, for all you members of the Walker family out there, I'll see you in a few weeks for the next episode review. But until then, enjoy your break, stay safe out there, be good to each other, and as always, peace out.